What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Glory Boys podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Austin.
I'm Darren.
I'm Trev.
And today we have a very special guest in the studio. Welcome, Mr. Austin Croghan.
Yeah. Welcome to the pod.
Crogy Bear is in the building.
Let's go.
Crogy Bear.
Hey.
Crogy Bear.
That's a Yogi Bear reference for all the people that don't know what that is.
Welcome.
Hey,
how you doing?
Doing great.
Great.
Fantastic. I'm doing even better now that I'm drinking this.
Yeah. So we're filming this episode. It's approximately 9 a.m. right now. And Austin has been up since, what, 2:30?
Yep. 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock this morning.
Oh, we were filming some new training videos at the car wash. So
Sick. Well, we'll dive into that, but
Yeah.
just get a little intro to who you are. You're an amazing man of God. You're an awesome husband, an awesome dad, and just a really fit guy, nice and buff.
Hashtag dad bod.
Hashtag Dad Bod Academy, which you still run actually.
Yep.
So you help people get into shape and care about their health and their fitness, which is awesome. And we've seen a lot of testimonials and people that you've worked alongside of over the years. And you do a lot of other things. You work at a car wash, which, you could say, oh, you just wash cars. No, there's actually a big story to that, which I'm excited to dive into.
Yeah.
And man, just tell us, a little bit about yourself and who you are.
yeah. I have 2 beautiful kids, Declan and Charlie, and she's 1, he's 8, and that's a big gap, but it's fun. I love being dad. It's one of my favorite passions. And then beside that is I am married to my beautiful wife, Abby. She's super great. Love being married. I don't know. When you hear people say, oh,
I know, right?
or like,
It's like, what
oh,
are
you see those
talking
people
about?
that are just so,
Yeah.
I really love being married.
Yeah.
I think it's so awesome. So
It is awesome.
It's a gift.
I guess that's
Yep.
that's my other passion, is being married. I love being
Yeah.
married, but
Yeah.
I'm a married man. I got 2 kids. I love people, and that's me.
That's awesome.
I really love people.
Yeah.
I love people. Like, I love being here with you guys.
Yeah.
I love seeing the best in people. It's like, if you were to ask me who I am, I'm like, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're ever feeling down, Austin's the guy to lift you
Yeah,
up.
for real.
In like a text message, a look, just a
Right.
small
Just
little
the smile.
compliment.
Yeah.
It's
his
the smile for me.
all of it.
Just
Yeah.
that
He's the guy
nice-
that you meet and you feel like you've known him forever immediately.
Oh,
For
wow.
sure.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, which
No,
Trev knows
seriously.
because Trev hasn't known him for that
That
long.
literally
And so-
happened to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know.
And I remember, we met Austin probably five years ago.
5 years ago,
ish,
yeah.
When
Maybe 6.
when you started coming to my city, and
Mhm.
so we've known him for a while. And I remember when I first met you, and you showed us like some videos that you shot on your phone of the car wash that you worked at.
Yeah.
At the time, I think were you just washing cars at that
Yeah.
point in time? Yeah, so you'd like just began to kind of climb on the journey that you've been on. And I remember like seeing you put together these videos on your phone. I'm like, this is better than what 99% of car washes are doing just in general for their marketing. And so, you've been crushing it from day one.
Thanks.
But
Yeah, so I guess, dive into what you do now, and then we'll kind of go into this whole video production and like new passion that is, I guess, started in your life, and you bought a bunch of new gear, and I'm excited to talk about that. But yeah, what do you do and how'd you get into it?
Yeah, I'm a training and development specialist at Russell Speeder's Car Wash, and
the
basically
best car wash.
the best.
number
one
It's
car wash in the world.
Cars.
Yeah, it's the best car wash. You can't, our members get more clean.
That's right.
More
It's
fun,
actually facts,
more
though.
It is.
It's
It's
actually
so
the
true.
best.
as
It's the
an
best.
avid psycho cleaning my car
Yeah.
every day
Yeah.
kind of guy, I've been to many car washes in my life, and I will say Russell Speeder's just slaps them all.
Yeah. Russell Speeder's is amazing. So go wash your car at Russell Speeder's and tell him I sent you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now I work on a lot of like back-end integration, course creation, training and development. But a lot of that is tied into some of the newer stuff that I do, which is the videography. So now I get to really work on my skill set with developing new like world-class content on training to make it more like stimulating and appealing to our internal workforce. And so it's super cool. And I started there like 7 years ago at the car wash, and I actually started part-time as a CSA to try it out, and which is a customer service advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically you do sales, right?
Yeah.
And then I worked myself. I was like, yeah, this ain't too bad. So I worked myself up, and then I went into full time, and then from there I went to like a manager in training. I was like, this still ain't too bad. I'm still loving it, and it's addicting. It's an addicting. Like car washing is not what most people think. It's very addicting, and
Like how so?
People say like think of a kitchen, a lot of multitasking things going on. Now, 10x that. Like there's a lot of things going on, like at all times of the day.
Yeah.
So it's just very stimulating. Like there's never not one thing you're not gonna know, and there's a lot of different elements of the business that you'll learn. Like once you have those skill sets, you'll never have anything else. You'll never need to go learn anything else.
Sure.
Learn, like cleaning,
Yeah.
business, chemistry.
Yeah.
I mean, customer service. I mean, you are all the hats. And at least this is how it was back in the day before things had accelerated.
Sure.
But so that was what made it so engaging for me. And then became a manager, and then traveled around through different car washes, worked at over 10 car washes, and moved to Kansas City at one point, came back, and then kind of got in a district experience director role. So I worked with like customer service and customers' experience and relationship with us, community, public, and then got into marketing. So I was in the marketing department for about a year, and then just recently got promoted and transferred over to the new position that I'm in now. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's sick. It's been fun to see your journey because
Yeah.
you're just always, like you said, you're wearing a lot of hats and doing a lot of things, and it's super exciting. And we actually got the chance to go to Kansas City with you one time. To go to like the headquarters, I guess you would say, and go film a little bit with you, and we rode scooters around downtown
we
KC.
did. We had a lot of fun.
And we dude, it was a lot of fun. But man, it's been cool seeing now where you're at, and 7 years later, you're just killing it. And now you're making content, which I want to touch on a little bit. I remember when you started thinking through like, man, car washes can be cooler on social media. How do we do it? And we'd have many conversations. I mean, about, should you use your phone, and you were capturing stuff. And then you were like, you guys started doing the themes for the Russell Speeders car wash, like the Jurassic Park theme, or the Transformers, or the Snow Beast thing that sprays your car before in the winter. The Yeti, yeah. Snow Beast sounded cooler. A Yeti is what you drink out of. A Snow Beast is what's gonna get you. No, but so just talk through like some of those early stage ideas of like you started filming on your phone, and you just did the best with what you had in that moment, and now it's grown into an actual position, which is sick.
Yeah. The theme portion was interesting. Really, really interesting. That was pretty cool stuff. I mean, we shift like every quarter through the dino theme, which was like dinosaurs, or we call it the prehistoric theme.
You can't call it Jurassic Park because you'll get in trouble.
Exactly. Yeah. We went through like a couple other ones, like the Yeti one, which was what do we call that one? The Arctic wash. We call it Arctic wash, and we did Under the Sea.
Oh yeah.
So with that came with a lot of different content that we had to create as well. But I guess being in that experienced director role, it allowed me to like really bring the point of view in for our customers, and also our internal team. So I got to mess around on my phone a lot. I mean, and plus I'm on my phone a lot.
Yeah.
So I messed around with it a lot. And I just kept playing around with it, and I really just enjoyed it. So I just tried different things and different apps, and just tried to get really good at one specific one, like Spark, which is one of those editing apps.
Yeah.
And just kind of went through that filtering process, and then eventually was like, well, what's the next thing? And then, when you work for an organization that empowers you, that helps too. So it's like, hey, well, why don't you try this? So it's like, okay, I can do that. Let me first go get some expertise on that, and see where that goes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sick.
If that answers.
Yeah, no, it's
good.
great.
Do you feel like that was part of your success with the company? I guess maybe touch on that a little bit of like, I guess from an outside perspective, it seems like you've seen elevation and promotion in your job because you're doing the best with what you have, because you're bringing ideas to the table. You're not just showing up, clocking in, collecting a paycheck, but you're going above and beyond. How have you seen that relate to climbing the ladder of really what's a corporation, and seeing success in your role, seeing your role change, grow. Now you're on the training team, you're having a bigger impact. Like, how does that relate?
I would say that it, I guess to the going above and beyond, I think it's definitely, that's like a muscle and a skill you can develop. You know, it's not just like, oh, I just naturally have it. I mean, you do have different personality types, but I've always looked at it as like a muscle and a skill, like going above and beyond, like what you said. And I guess my idea of every time I've gone into the workplace, is I try to do as much as I can for as many people as I can, as often as I can in the workplace, while providing a lot of value without ever expecting anything in return. And I think when you do that and you have a mindset like that, that allows you to open up the horizon of everything is really just an opportunity to try to move forward, to try all these different things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that allowed me to and be really unapologetic about how I did things, and kind of took it like in my own authority role, and would just applied myself confidently and hoping that it would provide value. And if it didn't, whatever. But most of the time it was, I think, the effort that was seen, like praise the effort, not the result.
Sure.
So I think that was what was seen. And I think through that and through my ambition and working that muscle, it, you know, they would look at that and say, hey, like, this is somebody who is very driven. And every owner in a company, I mean, or every CEO, they have enough on their plate. They want to see those ambitious people.
Yeah.
Sure.
And when they do, they're going to see them, they're going to spot them out, and they're going to keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like the farmer, you know, it's like, it's way down the road, but they will always have their eye on you. And I think luckily, maybe luckily, I don't know. Luckily I had a lot of good people in that organization that believed in me. And, you know, even Kevin himself, you know, down at the wash, but, that seen that skill and that value and that effort and that ambition, and they wanted to, you know, reward that.
Yeah.
know, so
That's awesome. Well,
That
they're
makes sense.
smart for doing that because you're an amazing person to have around in an organization.
Appreciate
So
Yeah, for sure.
have you always been this ambitious? Have you always been this go-getter, like think outside the box, do the best with what you have, love people, serve people kind of mentality, or where did that come from?
Yeah, I have been. I think I've always been naturally just in love with people.
Yeah.
And I've always been like a squirrel brain, really high energetic guy, you know, especially if you get me on some calf. I am.
Score.
There it is. There it is.
But yeah, so I always have been. Again, I think it just comes back to developing those skills. And I think I was around like 22 years old. I started reading about, I started just reading books.
Yeah.
Mind you, I can't read, nor can I spell. I'm not smart. But I started reading and applying myself. And I always heard like, oh, you know, the average CEO or the Fortune 500 whatever reads 60 books a year. I was like, well, okay, whatever. So I started reading books and I started taking courses, and I started listening. Instead of listening to music, I was listening to podcasts and then I actually realized that my brain started to absorb this stuff. And I started to like actually think different.
Yeah.
And I actually question things differently. And I said, no, why is that? And how can that was where it all happened, but it was about like 22. And I think the first book I ever read was Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. And that like shifted everything. And I was
Nice.
like, oh, well, here we go.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
Is it worth the read?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, I just kept reading more books, and I think that just really empowered the self-development side of me. And I think that's where it made me want to go out of my way to like, if I have information, I'm going to give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I want to see the best in somebody else. But it's like, how can you use your resources and skills to do that and want to share that with people?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are characteristics of Jesus. And so obviously you love the Lord and
Love the Lord.
just talk about a little bit of like what that takes into fact, or into play. How would you say it? How does that affect like your work day? How does it affect your interactions with people and your bosses and even people that don't know the Lord? How does that?
Yeah, it actually affects it a lot, because when people see something different in you, which you'll know when
Mhm.
there's something different in you because God has planted that in you and gave you
Mhm.
intuition and will, but for me, I know when I'm around people, I know when I leave their presence, I left them feeling a little bit better.
Mhm.
So I know that when I'm around people, they can feel something different about me. And when they ask what that something different is, I always give it to the Lord.
Mhm.
And I guess how that affects me in my day is like, um, I just think about really Jesus's walk. I think about who I serve, and that's really what affects me, I guess.
Yeah.
Like throughout the day, like I I try to start my day with the Lord. And if I don't get the front of the day with the Lord, I at least try to get the middle of the day with the Lord, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to get with the Lord. But I mean, I guess if that answers it.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
awesome. Like people can just say, "Oh, Austin's such a nice guy," But yeah, it's a deeper.
Yeah.
There's a love and a passion for people that is Christ-like, and I think that's what I love about you most. Is
Yeah.
you have all these skills and talents and abilities, but there's this gravitational pull towards you of like
Mhm.
this guy. There's something different about you, and I
Mhm.
think it's attractive to the world and to believers because we all need more people like Austin Croghan in the world.
Oh,
So,
I appreciate it.
Amen.
so good job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like just dying to self.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
for
really
sure.
just dying to self.
Amen.
and,
That's exactly what it
your
is.
selfish ambitions, and
Mhm.
your hey, it's about me.
Yeah.
Woke society. It's like I just pick up your cross and get
Yeah.
on going.
Right.
Yep.
Has that ever come up in training your employees? Like, it's easy. You're like the go-getter. You push boundaries. You just try things, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, has that? But there's like, I feel like this is the purpose behind that is because your own value, and that you're called to love people, give your best no matter what. Has that come up directly with like as you train employees and as you build culture at each one of these stores, trying to instill that like no matter your situation, this is how we serve people? Has that come up directly with employees?
Yeah. That's a great question, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's happened many times. So when I was more of in the experienced director role, I would float around to sites more, and I would spend time doing like 360 reviews and just hanging out with employees and really being a culture police,
Mhm.
right? But those conversations would come up all the time, and just like I'm struggling with this, and yada yada. You got to be, even me saying this right now, you got to be careful with like religion and stuff inside the workplace. But
Yeah.
again, I have been unapologetic about it.
Mhm.
So as a believer, I've always quoted scripture and said, "Hey, Jeremiah 29:11 for
Mhm.
for the Lord declares the plans for you. Declares the Lord,
Mhm.
Yeah.
plans that are prosper you to harm you.
Mhm.
Give you hope in the future." Like I will always try to incorporate what they're going through into scripture,
Mm.
and then have that conversation with them and
Yeah.
hey, what do you believe? Because most of the time the stuff they're going through is bigger than them.
Yeah.
But I've had that happen multiple times. I've prayed with people at work multiple times. I've prayed with customers.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so awesome,
Wow.
like having those conversations. I've actually helped at least, I think, 16 people from church get jobs with us.
Yeah.
Wow.
And some of them are still with us today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
And
Yeah.
and even go to different churches and go around
Sure.
that are believers that I've brought into there, and they've
Right.
actually, it's cool, shifted some of the culture.
Yeah.
Gage
Amen.
Lambie,
Yeah.
Richard Jones,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, just guys that
Yeah.
it's just so cool. So it's like we got our disciples out there. Just
Yeah.
Yeah. Amen.
that's the cool part. So
Yeah.
I love that too, because for a long time, it seemed like every week you were just like, somebody's like, I lost my job and I was working, this dead end job. And you'd be like over here discipling them, like working with them, teaching them. And then they
Yeah.
get on and now they have a career and they're working there all the like, not everybody sticks, but some of those guys are still, like you said, working years later. It's just, so
Yeah.
cool. You just see the best in people and offer them an opportunity, and that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So one thing I love about you is you're a continual learner. You always are learning something new. You literally like got, trusted with some budget to put towards your own camera, your own lens, editing software, lighting, all of that stuff. And you're like just full diving in. And I guess where did that come from? Or do you know like what sparked that like continual learner? Was it when you started reading books? Was it before that? Like, did you always like creative things or learning new things, or is that a relatively new development?
Yeah, I think I always have. I think once I was able to take something, like take the information that I learned, and then it's like one thing to get the information, but when I actually had applied it and I saw the fruit or the result from it, I was like, whoa, this is cool. So then that was what sparked that creativity and that ability to want to keep like self-improving and wanting to learn and do all that stuff, right? So I think that's probably some of it. I think even for me, school was always really hard for me growing up. So I think that's where some of that came from too, is that I like when I was a kid, I think it was like 3rd grade through 6th grade, I was placed in special ed. And I was by context, like it was special ed then was like a classroom of 5 people who had serious mental challenge abilities and things that, capabilities. So, but I was in this class and I wasn't in a normal room. I actually had a short bus pick me up at my house. And that was my elementary, right?
Wow.
So I actually always asked myself, I said, and not that there's anything wrong with those people,
Yeah.
but I think that's where some of my heart comes from because those guys were like my closest friends.
Yeah.
And, but it made me feel like, is there something wrong with me? Like, I mean, I feel like I'm normal, or I'm not challenged in any way, but
Right.
like, why am I in this room? And I had trouble taking tests and I could never, I don't know, I just never was good. But then I would leave that room to go to the normal classroom with the teacher, sit there, and then take a test and then leave and go back. So I'd be like, quote unquote, normal for a second,
Yeah.
So it made me feel, it made me feel kind of like, I felt like I was insignificant, like something was wrong with me. And it didn't help my self-esteem. So I carried that for a really, really long time. Went into high school, same thing. Like, obviously it was more normalized and even in elementary, but I didn't know what like social standards were and like people. And so once I kind of learned all that and I just never caught up with that, I just always kind of felt like stupid. And then like I dropped out of college twice just because I couldn't get around the system and I couldn't get around my head around that stuff. And I felt like I could never take tests. And I guess where I'm going with that is I was, when I first applied self-development, that learning stuff, like your own direction, I picked it up easy and I still pick it up easy now. And I remember it like that and I apply it and I love it. I love self-development.
That's so interesting to me.
It's
Like,
super interesting.
I can relate a little bit in the whole like system of school. I just didn't like tests. I'm not a test taker. Read a bunch of information, read really hard questions, and then try to pick one of the 4 is the right answer. It was like some of them could be the right answer. It feels like this one could be, and then I would sit there and have like, I don't know. And when I was in elementary, they were like putting me in speech class and like reading classes, and like I was always like never fully confident in who I felt like I was. So that's a pretty like massive mountain to climb over as a young kid into going into high school, like a pretty important part of your life. So how did you get out of that mindset of like, you're not significant? How did you gain your confidence back? Like, when did that shift happen?
Yeah. And that's where maybe some of this other stuff ties in. The gym, that helped me. I was, despite all of the insufficiencies I felt with feeling like I was not smart or I was stupid or whatever it was. I was also really small, like way small. Like I was like in my junior year and senior year, I was probably my junior year. I think I was like 5'6", 5'7", maybe 5'6". I wasn't too tall, and I was like 90 pounds.
Wow.
I was tiny, dude. And people always thought I was in 6th grade. And I was all the time, dude, like people like, oh, like, is this your like little brother? I'm like, I'm his friend. Actually, I'm older than him. Same grade. Leave me alone. So it was really, I mean, my confidence, dude, it was the worst. Dang. And I had no friends. And then, so my junior.
Did you go to prom?
I didn't have a girlfriend until senior year.
Yeah, but you don't have to have a girlfriend to go to prom.
No. I had no reason to.
You just never went to any.
I went to prom my senior year. Yeah. But,
what was your date like? A lot taller than.
Well, then I finally like grew a little bit, you know.
Oh, got it.
So junior year, I actually, you know, I went to like my complete nutrition, and there's this guy there, you know, and he's like, you know, I was like, yeah, take this muscle milk and this super Buck 250 or whatever it was. I went to the gym every day. I had a few friends, but I was at the gym every day. This little apartment gym that my friend gave me a code to. I went there every day.
Sick.
I came back that senior year, and I'm not joking. Like I wore cutoffs all the time. People were like, Austin? And I was like, yeah, what's up? You know? No, I wasn't big, but I was like, people noticed. And when people noticed, that confidence in me, oh my gosh, school didn't give that to me. My parents didn't give that to me. Nobody gave that to me. No book gave that to me.
Yeah.
I went and applied it, and it worked. And I was like, wow. And I got my first girlfriend. I got my first tribe of real friends, you know? And I was like, I was fitting in. And it allowed me to just go, I am something, right? I don't know yet. But then I kept working out, and that working out was just kind of my identity in that. And that's where my confidence came. And then as I continued to grow, I really just applied like working out in that self-sabotage stuff that you do to your body at the gym to like learning in your daily life.
Sure.
So
it's just discipline too.
Yeah.
I mean, you grinded at the gym consistently. You saw what it did to your life.
Yeah.
So now you have a small principle you learned at your junior year as a little pee-wee guy.
Yeah.
And then it's all right. I wasn't much bigger. I was definitely taller than 5'6" or 5'7", but no, that's awesome, man. I love that. Discipline's super important. Going to the gym is like one of the most healthy things for your brain, your body, your soul. I mean, it really is. Even if you don't get huge and chug a bunch of protein shakes and get know, a bunch of mass, but just moving your body, just anything.
There's way more under the surface that going to the gym builds.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so important.
And I think there is like, you don't want to find your identity like you did in the gym and in your muscles or your body, but there is, I think, a confidence that comes with feeling good, looking good, like
definitely.
Liking taking off your shirt,
Absolutely,
when you're on the beach with your wife in Mexico. It's like, there's times where we first went when we got married to Mexico that I'm like, I don't like taking off my shirt. I feel small and stupid. And then there's times where we went a couple years later and I'm like, I feel huge right now.
What's up, beach? Get my shirt off. Let's go.
So,
what's up, beach? He says.
It did sound like which is so funny. I did not mean to take it as great social clip. You're welcome. Great. Whatever.
That's amazing.
It's actually interesting that you say that. Like you're like, I don't feel that good about myself. Like it's funny because we're created in God's image.
Yeah.
And do you think that like when you do look in the mirror and you do feel that way, like you're actually created to be everything that you're supposed to be?
Yeah.
Like when you're overweight, when you're obese, when you like when you struggle with those things, and when you have that, it's like that's a motivation. That's like, hey, it's the creator saying, I created this body to be moving, to be at work, to be, it needs to be like, and it's like, you're created in the image of God, and God, I mean, that's not what he created, and that's why it should make you feel, oh my gosh, I don't feel good about myself. I feel like crap. Because you need to go to the gym.
Right.
And if you don't go to the gym, you need to walk. You
Mm-hmm.
need to stand more. You need to park further away.
Yeah.
And, you need to get your lifestyle together. And I haven't always been,
Super huge.
yeah, a fitness fanatic, I've had my dad bod multiple times, so it's like, but when you feel that feeling like you're talking about, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
For sure.
anyways.
Oh, that's great.
The
I
dad
love-
bod.
Dad Bod Academy. If you want to get huge like Austin Croghan, hit him up.
Dad bod academy.
Something you said that I really wanted to touch on, I thought was so interesting, was the power of networking and body language. Something that you had put down as something you might want to talk about. And the interesting part, networking obviously is important as you build businesses, as you grind, as you go to the gym. Don't just be the weirdo that puts your headphones on and stares at the ground. There's opportunities all over to say hey to people and make connections. And then there's also beautiful platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook and everything else where you can network and create businesses and jump on calls and make business that way. And then body language, which is, I think, a really interesting topic. So I would love for you to chat a little bit about what you've learned on your journey in this, I guess, networking and the importance of body language.
Yeah. To the networking piece, I'm sure you've all heard this because everybody has, and they're like, oh, cliche, but two things. They say like your network is your
Network.
okay. You're the average of the
5 people you surround yourself with.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Take that as serious as you possibly can.
Yeah. It's real.
Because who you surround yourself with is super important.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why networking is really important. Because you never know. Like, again, one of my favorite quotes and what I live by is do as much as you can for as many people as you can, as often as you can, without ever expecting anything in return.
Mm.
You do that to a lot of people, you're going to have a lot of impact, and people are going to remember you not by what you did, what you said, but how you made them feel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? You know that.
Yep.
That's great.
So the thing is like when you're networking with people and you have those, again, the average of the 5 people that you consistently connect with is really important. And just you getting out into the community, you getting around new people, you getting uncomfortable, going to those events, going to those social networks, like that stuff's important. Going to church, going to groups, you got to do that stuff because you never know who you're going to meet. It's always like the right connection at the right time.
Yep.
And regardless if it's like, it's not about you're getting something,
for sure.
but it's what you can give and then you can watch. And then one day it's called the law of reciprocity that can come back to you. You reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Right. So it's super important to consistently network. I have many stories of like things I've gone out of my way when I didn't have the time.
Let's hear one of them because I'm actually really interested in this.
Yeah. There's a lot. But one, for instance, is like, I always think about it, but it's like Sean Harley. You guys know Sean Harley?
I don't think
Owner
I've
of
met
Rock
Sean.
Solid Nutrition.
Okay, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's in Omaha.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. He's an awesome guy. So he's the owner of Rock Solid Nutrition. And he was an example of like somebody I wanted in, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. Well, this guy was like, he competed in professional bodybuilding, but you have to look him up. He's great.
Yeah.
So amazing physique. So I always like, okay, there's spiritual, there's physical, there's mental, like who do I categorize those people,
Yeah.
right? He was my physical. I said, how do I get around him? Right? Messaged him. People were busy, yada, yada. And I said, I want to get around him because he's also got a pretty great mindset. And he's also an actor too. So he's got like a huge network of people and just a solid, great guy. Rock solid, great guy.
Rock solid.
And so I just an example was like, hey man, I see that you're selling supplements. Like you just got into Hy-Vees and stuff, and you're like, he's doing demos at Hy-Vee. I said, why don't I take that off your hands and help you out? And he's like, well, maybe you can come and like, help, just shadow a few. It's like, absolutely. He's like, and then him and I started connecting. I said, yeah, let me help you with this. I can learn. I mean, I know this stuff,
Yeah.
And then he's like, just teaching me about his project because he's like, who the heck is this guy, right? And then we kept connecting. And then he said, yeah, like, hey, can you help me with this location and this location? I said, mind you, I still got like, at the time I had a 5-year-old and like, I'm still working and doing all this other stuff.
Right.
Mhm.
I said, yeah. He's like, how about I pay you like $15 an hour? I said, don't worry about it. I'll do it. You know? So then I started like taking his product, going out there. I was marketing it online. I was just, law of reciprocity, right? I was just giving and giving and giving.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, you want to help me with this commercial? Like, I can make you like a mad scientist and we can like throw like, so I just did that. And I just kept doing things for him because I knew one day he would come back and like help me with more things, and I wanted to be around him. So I knew like just connecting with him would help,
Yeah.
But yeah, he helped me with like body posing and he helped me with like nutrition programs and workouts and like things that he did to get to that level. But that's just like one of the things that I think is really helpful. That really was as like one of those stories and helpful. So then he gave me like product and, and then today till today, we still talk.
Yeah.
I mean, text him happy birthday, text me happy, but we're really close now. But I know when we were doing the theme thing, here's an example. We were doing that theme transition with the car wash. We were trying to figure out how to get people to want to dance outside and do this stuff, So like,
the employees.
Yeah. So my idea was, well, there's these like acting, what's it called? Where they act and stuff. What's that called? You do acting and dancing and
like theater.
Yeah, theater.
Or
it's like theater stuff. So UNO and UNL has it.
Like training.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's like part of your college. In college.
Oh.
So they like to become an actor or whatever. And I said,
Acting classes.
Yeah.
Or
So like,
something,
but it's like where people dance and they're like, they're not afraid to be them, right?
Yeah.
So I said, hey, dude, you do acting? And he's like, yeah. I was like, you think you could help me out with this? Like, get me some connections. But because I was always doing stuff for him, he sent me like 4 connections, like professors and people. And like, I think one of them was a celebrity. And I reached out to these people and I was trying to create like a way where we can take those people and make an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But see the long term. I mean, that was like a course over like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Just, So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really sick. I love that so much. We literally live by that here at Glory Visuals. We love helping people, and we know like it will come back someday. And if it doesn't, cool, because we get so much joy in even helping people like you. Where you're like, hey, can I pay you something to like, I'm going to bring my camera in, and we're like, no, go pound sand, buddy.
Yeah.
Right.
But still come in and
We'll still come in and hang out.
Yeah.
Pound
We'll still
sand
help
about
you, but pound sand with the invoice.
Man, you could really take this podcast out of context and really screw me over.
You could probably.
Whatever, dude. But anyway, I love that so much. It's super important. I think even just talking to the creative business owners and people that have started that's such a foundational piece, I think, in success for your company is even just adding extra value to your clients, doing extra things, going above and beyond for people, just always adding value and loving on people, which is definitely a characteristic of Jesus, but also just a beautiful, it's just super rewarding and fun to do. And I encourage everyone to do that because it's the best.
Yeah.
Next thing that I really wanted to go to was the body language thing. Which
language.
I'm excited because I feel like I struggle with this one a little bit. Even as you were talking about networking, I think everything after COVID, people just being away from everyone for so long, now things are normal again. So people are being back to normal, being around each other. But there's this it feels like people are in little bubbles and walls, and
I hate it.
the body language for people just feels borderline disrespectful at times.
It really does. Yeah.
I'm paying you like $100 for a steak and a glass of wine with my wife at this restaurant, and I feel like you're so I'm an inconvenience for you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to eat
dude.
here. So there's some of that, and then there's also like just the everyday interactions that we have even with each other. And then there's like networking opportunities. Like we're part of a networking group, and there's a 15-minute window prior to the meeting starting that you're supposed to interact with one another. And I find myself walking into that room and being like, I'm going to find my seat and then hopefully not talk to anyone, which is like not my character. But I think there's been something kind of shifted in my mind where like, I don't really have much to add, or I don't really need anything from you. So I'm just going to like bypass the whole networking opportunity, which is a lie. And I know I need to work through that. But I would love to hear your just insight on body language and just kind of how we can be better at that, post COVID and post awkward social interaction.
Yeah. Body language. It's language. That's why it's called body language, right? It's just like talking. Math is a language. Like everything's language, right? How I talk to you, my tonality, like using your tonality. I mean, you guys sing, so right? But your tonality is a language. The way I interact with you is a language, right? So, but your body language, I think it's like 93% of your body language is, I believe, nonverbal, right? This, right? And then the other 7% is verbal, what I say, right? So what I say is that tonality piece. That's super important. When you learn how to use your tonality and what you say and using meaning with your words and different type of words and how you articulate those words and add it in with your body language is communication. And that body language is important in everything you do, right? Your interpretation and perception of somebody it's like, our attention span has gone down drastically over the last 40 years, 30 years. It's like 3 seconds now.
Eesh.
So you have like, if not milliseconds, to literally somebody's going to think something of you. And why people are like, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. You should.
Yeah.
And they do.
You do.
You do. Yeah.
That's a facade.
You should, because you're also, and if you're a Christian, you're a representation of Christ.
Right.
So, but not to go on that
There
tangent.
it was.
Yeah. So, but it's really important in everything you do, the way you speak, the way you act, the way you carry yourself. It's super important to be able to go into those networking events, make a positive impact on somebody for the first time seeing them. It's their perception of you, what they think about you, how you interact with them when you talk. Again, speak, act, walk, like they see something different in you, but it's all about how you carry yourself. And I guess that's when it comes down to the body language stuff, like when somebody who has authority or powerful or I don't know, just take Donald Trump, for example, right? Now just strip him from what you know him of and strip him from his authority. Act like he's just a normal guy. If he walked into the room right now, would you notice something different about him?
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's how he carries himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's body language.
Yeah.
That's a language,
No, it's a language.
That was
The best body language.
Oh my gosh, that was epic. Oh my gosh.
We may or may not do Donald Trump impersonations all the time here.
Yeah, we did.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh. But just think of people who you see that, you could just, they carry themselves different.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess that's just where I'm going is like, if you walk into a room, that's where that body language stuff comes into. Like, if I'm sitting, like, what do you think of me right now?
Right.
You look
Not
very unsure
confident.
of yourself.
Okay.
You don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
Engaged, listening,
Yeah.
thoughtful.
Therapist.
Yeah. Like, that's body
Just
language,
kidding.
though.
Yeah.
Even when you're shaking somebody's hand, like, always remembering, like,
I hate, dude, when I miss
you look at
when I
somebody-
miss the V.
Yeah.
When I always go in for a really strong handshake, and sometimes I miss and grab like right here. And
that's
it's just the
fingers.
worst, dude. It's the worst.
That's
Oh,
But
jeez.
those things are always important. And your body language is like, that's why I'm always smiling. Always smiling. Everybody's like, oh, you're always smiling, always happy. It's a skill.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I also love people, and I love just being in life. Like,
Yeah.
like one day there's gonna be an expiration date. I don't know, like, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But like, even when I was like on the lot and stuff, like at the car wash, I knew somebody was coming behind me, or they were looking, whether they were actually looking at me a mile away, it doesn't matter. Whenever I'm turning around, I'm playing chess. I'm like 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Like I'm already smiling. I'm walking tall. I'm not walking too fast, but I'm also not being a slum and walking slow.
Right.
I'm walking like I'm busy. Like those things though, those things are important, you
Yeah.
know? Like, but people, that's their perception of you. Like, why, so, but body language is really important. So, I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of tonality and like how you use those things to, again, influence people. Right. And not just influence, but impact them and vice versa, them, you. And then it's just this huge ripple effect towards people. You know, again, like you're talking about the average of 5 people we hang around.
Yeah.
You know, we are a byproduct of all those experiences. We are a byproduct of not just our experience, but the people we hang around. You know, I think you have like what? It's like 60,000 thoughts on average per day. And then you make like 35,000 decisions per day. And it's like those thoughts and those decisions are also not just your own limiting beliefs, but everybody else's limiting beliefs around you. Right. So like, that's why it's so important to like be careful who you surround yourself with, because that body language and those words they're using may rub off on you, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah. So along that like thought, I guess, has there been people over the years that you've had to cut out, or like how have you curated that? I know you reached out to, what was his name again? The guy that owns Rock Solid.
Yeah.
Like love that you're going after those relationships that you know you want to be part of those 5 people. On the flip side of that, like what have you had to do to curate that group of people?
Yeah, like keep those people,
or just have there been
certain people cut
friendships that you realized were bad for you, that weren't building up your self-confidence or making you a better person?
And to go with that, some people are there for a season, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, you
that's
don't
good.
like reach out to someone like famous online and they become your best friend forever and you hang out every day. It's not realistic. People have lives, but you know, so obviously knowing that, you know, you have people in your lives for a season, but then you do have a core couple of people. Like Jesus had 3 core people. He had 12 disciples. He walked and did life with them, but he had 3 homies that were like, hey bro, I've been struggling with this.
Peter,
Hey bro.
James, John, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
So like just thinking through like, how did you decide who those people are, and how do you maintain those relationships at a realistic expectation?
Yeah. I think for that question, yours is, you have to cut out people. And I love the season thing, because at 32 years old, I'm finally learning that. Like, it's like, you know, that friend, that best friend, that person, like they really were a season, and there's a reason for that. It doesn't mean they just go away.
Sure.
But like, you know, you gotta be able to make those like strong decisions as like a human being and a leader, and to just say like, I don't know if this is right for me, or like this is it, you know. But then to your question as well is, they need to be in line with your values, and values are like what you practice daily, right? And like what you really value, like your morals and your beliefs, and like, oh, you know, I hang out with like so and so, like you hear that all the time, or like they're doing things that it's just like, but you don't value that.
Yeah.
So why are you doing that? You know, like when I eat La Mesa and go like super crazy on it, I'm like, I don't value always eating like this. So, you know, like what's the problem, you know? But knowing those relationships is, do they value the same thing? Like we value mostly the same thing, right? Like you may have different beliefs and opinions, which you're entitled to, but like for the most part, like we have to have the same values that are in line. And, you know, I have a really great friend, and it is, I know we can talk about this because it's transparency, right? And I think it gives people more connection. But I have a best friend, and I've known him since I was 19 years old, as long as I've known like my buddy Abram, right? Like, you know, and I was realizing even like over the last couple of years, like certain things are seasons, you know, and but as much as we connect and we have like all those past experiences together, our values and what we believe aren't aligned. So it creates, you know, not that's like, oh, I like don't like,
Yeah.
Right.
it's just, you can't do, you got to learn to spread that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's a difference between loving people and then choosing to let them influence you. And I think a lot of people struggle with that of like, man, I have this person that I really care about. Well, you don't have to stop caring about them
Yeah,
to
exactly.
protect yourself. It's not that you're, cutting them off and telling them to go pound sand, as Darren would say. But you love them. You still show the love of Jesus towards them, but you have to be able to protect your own values because regardless of if you think that they are or not, they're rubbing off on you and you are the product of your environment. And that's what makes it so difficult to be like that friend in the dark place without, participating in those things or shifting your values to align with theirs. Cause that's, you don't want to do that. And I love all of that. And I would imagine your confidence through going to the gym, through building your temple, through building a healthy lifestyle helped you be confident in those decisions because you're not, I think the reason a lot of people have a hard time with this is that they're dependent on the person or the friend, even though they're maybe not a great friend and they don't have values that align with theirs, but they don't have the self-identity and the self-confidence to be able to cut this relationship off because their identity is tied up in those people. And so I guess, have you seen that or does that make sense for you
it does.
Being a confident person?
Yeah. I don't know. You can only gain confidence though through like the commitments to yourself that you make, right? And then it's like just again, it's a muscle that you keep building. Like if you say you're going to say that thing to that person and have that conversation, then you need to actually do it. I think people are just probably a little uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable trying to have that conversation with people. But again, if you can learn the art of communication and tonality and body language and like just be able to talk with people, you can really open up a whole can of worms of how to actually make that situation seem light. I think is that what you're kind of asking? Yeah. I have ran into it a lot and I've definitely had a lot of those conversations. Like everybody's like, oh, Austin, like, there's a whole nother side of me that people I don't think have ever really got to see. Like even in the workplace, I think it's probably where it happens the most. But like, you pull somebody in and you're like, hey man, like, I just want you to know that I'm really disappointed in you, and I don't respect those actions. And I actually expected a lot more from you, but being able to have those conversations, it's not confrontation. It's just clarity.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the more you do that, the more you gain confidence with yourself to go, yeah, I can have that conversation with that person. And you know what? It may be okay. It may not feel good, but it'll be okay.
Yeah.
And that relationship may grow and be even better than it was before, but you got to be able to have those uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah. Well, and you built the relational equity with them beforehand, I would imagine, in all of those situations.
Yeah.
So it's different when you're coming in, never having added value in the first, on the front end. And then you're just like, what the heck, dude? Well, you didn't set expectations. You didn't build relationships. But it's like when you have that heart for people on the front end, when you're interested in serving them with no expectation of anything in return,
Amen.
I would imagine that makes those conversations a lot easier because you're coming in as more of that, I don't know, I don't want to say mentor figure, but like there's trust built there on the front end.
Yeah. And be consistent in your character. Like you're talking about characteristics. Like Jesus was always consistent.
Yeah.
His disciples, not so much all the time, but like you have to be consistent in who you are. And then, cause it's like you fall off a little bit here. It's, we're all imperfect, but if you're going to give an inch here, you're going to give a mile here, so like people will see those patterns, but if you keep your behavioral patterns in check and you are true to who you are and you keep your commitments and you're consistent with those characteristics as a person and individual, then people are going to, like you said, they're going to see that.
Yeah. It's funny because you say that people can notice your inconsistencies, and I've learned this through parenting that your kids very much so can see you have to be very consistent with discipline. You know, you give an inch, they'll take 3 miles, you know what I mean? And so it's like, if your kids get that, adults are going to pick up on that too. And I love that.
That is so funny. Yeah, I sit here and say that, but then like if you saw me with my kids, you'd be like, oh my gosh. That man is not consistent. But yeah.
Well, here's my encouragement to you to be more consistent.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I love that. The nugget that I got from that was that you're just a mature leader. You've just to be able to be okay with, hey, you know, we were best friends for 15 years, but these didn't line up. You're building a healthy foundation for your kids to grow on, for you and your wife and your marriage. Like you can't always make the room of like being a college kid compromising all the time to maintain relationships. You got to do what's best for you and your family. And I just commend you for that. I think that's one of the coolest things. Just keep being an amazing leader, keep being a really great dad, and just being who you are, because it's awesome.
Encouragement time.
So it's encouragement time. It's a part of the pod where we encourage you. And so Austin, you get to do the encouragement time today. So what would you share with our beautiful listeners, a piece of encouragement?
I'm a big fan of like one-liners, but like what is that? To people is you can't defeat what you don't define, and I love that because just define your obstacles, lay them out, and the problems that arise in your life, like you gotta look them dead in the eye, and you just gotta really break them down. Use the Lord for strength, and just don't lean on your own understanding, and because everything in life seems like to just be problems. Everything's problems, right? But it's like just for the encouragement, like don't lean on your own understanding. Know that God goes before you and is with you, and those problems are going to show up in your life. And as like happy as go-getter as I am, like this last year was probably the hardest year of my life. And I didn't lose faith, and I was angry a lot. I was upset. I was sad. I was, there was a lot, but I did not lose faith. And I stared right at my problems, and I said, I know who goes before me, who can stand against me, you know? And so use the Lord for your strength, and identify your problems and just attack them.
There you go.
Amen, brother.
That was great.
Let's go. That was fire.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are scared to identify their problems. That's the issue, is they don't even take that first step, because they're like, if I identify it, that means I'm acknowledging it.
Yeah.
I'm acknowledging it. It exists.
It's real.
And so
That's why I don't open my Wells Fargo app.
You and me both.
It's just, it's easier just not to look at it.
Yeah. Thankful for my wife who does that.
That's
for real.
I'm like, babe, what's the login? I haven't logged in like 4.5 years.
My phone's set to like after I don't use an app for a while, it'll uninstall it. Right? That happened in my banking apps.
Nice.
That's so great.
That's my wife. I'm the one that I check it pretty regularly, but then So open up that bank account app. Stare that problem right in the face.
And identify it.
Good stuff.
That's really great.
But definitely manage your budget and
take
care of
your
your finances.
Well,
Make
that's
sure somebody's
you have to
taking care
know.
of
You have to know how much money you have in your bank account to be able to write a budget. So.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
One last thing I was going to ask you. So you used to work at Hy-Vee, right? Or no, you just sold.
No.
Oh, you just sold the supplements for.
No, I worked at Hy-Vee for 6 years.
No, yeah, that's
when
what
I was younger. Yeah, when I was younger. Yeah.
Okay.
Part time.
Well, the reason I ask is the Hy-Vee rap.
Oh, you want the Hy-Vee rap, huh?
Yeah, do it.
You might have to share this with the Hy-Vee and sell the rights or something, because this
Okay.
All right, so sick, and I've never done it on anything like this.
Did you write it?
All right, give me
Actually,
did you?
so backstory. Real
Okay,
quick.
sick.
I was bored one day in the kitchen. And I'm sitting there.
Shocker.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just, the day's going slow. And
Were you like a high chai guy or high chai?
No, I was kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, chicken and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the mashed potatoes and all that.
Oh, got it.
The one over in Papillion. And I remember just sitting there so bored. And like, again, I'm a creative mind, you know, and I'm like, I remember there was McDonald's and Taco Bell at that time were coming out with like all these raps on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
They're like rapping. I was like, that's so funny and it's catchy. And then like, you know, I was sitting there at the counter and I was just like, and you know, the next thing you know, I'm like, I'm gonna make a rap. And I got bored and I did it for like 2 days straight and I got like this whole rap put together.
Sick.
My brother-in-law at the time was like a rapper in Omaha or whatever.
Sick.
So he had a studio. We went in the studio. We got the music,
Yo.
everything. And then he got it on a CD.
Link in the description.
Hey, yeah,
I
can
gave
we
it
get
to-
that? Can we get that file?
Yeah. Well, I gave it to Hy-Vee and they're like, played it at the, like one of their managers' meetings. They're like, we love it. It's hilarious.
Sick.
And then, I don't know, they lost the CD and I guess his like basement flooded and so we lost the track, but I remembered it always. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll
All
have
right,
to-
so
all right,
you're gonna have to give me like a hi-hat.
coming to you live for the retracking of the Hy-Vee rap song on the Glory Boys podcast.
All right, you have to give me a hi-hat. You have to do something, and then
Well, I've never heard the rap. I don't know.
we
what,
just got to make the beat, and
You
he's
just
gonna
gotta
rap it.
like, yeah. I don't know. You just try to follow it, right?
Okay, ready?
Sure. I've never tried only doing the hi-hat. Well, beatboxing
No,
stuff.
just beatbox then, and
Okay.
I'll add to
No,
it.
you go. You
I'll
do the
figure it
bass and
out.
I'll do the hi-hat.
This one's a gold nugget for Hy-Vee, so.
Okay.
All right, what's
for
the
it.
what's the BPM here? We're going like 144.
BPM?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like probably like a 120 or so.
Okay, all right, you start and then I'll add in.
All right.
Yeah. Check it. Once you come on down to Papillion Hy-Vee, where we are located on South 370. Come on back to the kitchen and purchase yourself a rotisserie chicken. It only costs about $6.99. Don't go to No Skills to pay the extra dime, cause the prices aren't fair and they don't care. How do I know? Cause I used to work there. So if you've got some shopping to do, once you stay a while, cause here at Hy-Vee we got a smile on every aisle, and our Starbucks is good, and our deals are hot, and our food is fresh. So why not? We're open 24 hours, 7 days a week. We're employee owned. We're so unique, and our prices are cheap. Look at our veggies and meat, frozen foods, milks and treats. So come on down and shop at Hy-Vee, shop at Hy-Vee, shop at Hy-Vee.
Come on down.
Shop at Hy-Vee, shop at Hy-Vee, shop at Hy-Vee. Excuse me, sir, do you need my help? Cause you look confused about something on the shelf. Is it bread fresh? Is it up to date? Well, let me ask my manager, please wait. Grabbed the bread, walked up to the main floor, and I asked my boss if I could grab some more. He said, yeah. So I walked to the back, and then I grabbed a fresh loaf straight off that rack. Went to the bakery and wrapped it up, and I brought it back. I said, sir, please forgive me for the wait, cause I even got coupons that you can take. He said, thank you for all your service. Well, you're the customer, and that's my purpose. Plus, there's not a store is not as near as perfect. But okay, sir, I'ma let you be. Next time you shop for accessories, this is the place to be. Your Shadow Lake Mall, Hy-Vee.
Let's go.
Dang, dog, you had like 80 bars in there.
That was a whole song.
That beat was awesome, dude.
Yeah,
I
crush.
think we got into a sweet part like
Oh yeah, we're doing
Just in the middle
we're
of
doing
something.
Yeah.
breakdowns and everything.
finally got my
really sick.
yeah, and I did a couple swells in there.
Yeah. Austin hit the disc.
He had some vinyl in there.
Woo.
That was
Secretly,
fire.
I'm a rapper.
Yeah.
I mean-
it's not a secret anymore.
It's the
Tell you
whole
that
world
much.
knows.
Just
Streaming
tell you
now.
that much.
Streaming on all streaming platforms. Krogi Bear.
Krogi Bear.
Uploads this bad boy to SoundCloud.
Yeah. I was gonna add ad libs, but I didn't want to like ruin anything. So
Nah, it was great.
That's
I just
amazing.
listened.
Funny.
You got on the hook.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
hook,
it was
yeah,
fire.
that was important.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks for blessing us. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
All right. So before we wrap this podcast, Austin, tell us what's next. What catch us up on what you're learning now, just real briefly before we kind of tie this thing with a bow.
Mhm.
You just bought a camera, you're diving in. Where's that going to take you? What are you excited about? What are you learning?
Yeah, I'm learning cinematography, trying to, these guys, Glory Visuals, and you guys have just been awesome here on helping me trying to learn more stuff. But yeah, just trying to learn cinematography and videography. And I'm actually realizing the more I get into it and film stuff, I'm like capturing moments. Like picture is worth 1,000 words, as they say. Like,
Yeah.
it's really cool. So I'm like actually getting more engaged with it. And I'm realizing between my phone, TVs, everything is cinematography and videography. Everything is
paying attention
we're
to
doing it
it.
right
content.
now.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, wow.
Everything's content.
Are you like
Everything's
analyzing commercials? And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh,
I
that
learned
was
about
such a cool
You'll
shot.
never watch a movie.
I know, right?
The same.
Yeah, I'm learning. Like
Ruined.
I'm learning about the 180 degree rule.
Okay.
Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like didn't know that before. That's why that looked like choppy. But yeah, I'm just trying to learn how to do all that so I can create better content, so that our high performance associates can like really soak in the material instead of just like, in this module,
Right.
we're going to figure out how, it's just
Yeah.
more, it's more short and
Yeah.
easier. But yeah, I'm just trying to learn all that. And it's really cool because I've actually always, with the phone stuff and the editing stuff, like I was doing this long before, even on the side with all my coaching services.
Yeah.
Like I was doing all this stuff before they're just like, wow, you're really good at that. I'm like, well, yeah, because I'm not the best, it's an iPhone, I'm an amateur, but like, that's how they knew.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, wow, like how did you do it? I'm like, well, I just do it in my spare time, And
Yeah.
so it's really cool because I'm realizing how much I can actually do with that.
Yeah.
It's a great skill to
It's
have.
such a valuable skill. I was
Yeah.
thinking about this, maybe it was last night, and I was like, man, it's so cool that Austin's learning videography, because that's photography and videography, I believe, are a skill in today's day and age anyone should learn, because it can
100%.
apply literally to anything. And
Yeah.
so I'm excited to see you continue to grow in that, see you apply it not only to your work, but to your outside projects, to dad bod, like
Yeah.
all your content's about to go to a whole nother level
Yeah.
for
Thanks.
everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
Thanks for everything you guys do to
yeah,
help me.
dude,
It's
of course.
seriously great.
Yeah.
You guys got to build a course.
Yeah, we do.
He's told me for years.
I know.
If we made a
It's
course,
about time we should listen, because he knows some stuff.
he knows.
I think, so.
He knows a couple things.
Yeah.
Well, where can we find you? We're like to watch the journey of you creating all this amazing content.
Yeah. Austin Croghan on my Facebook. I think you can Austin Croghan me on YouTube. I'm kind of all over the place on YouTube. I got like car wash stuff, and then I got my Dad Bod Academy channel, so you can find me at Dad Bod Academy on YouTube. And you can find me just Austin Croghan on YouTube as well for car wash stuff and content, and then A Croghan Fit Pro on Instagram. So
Sick.
Sweet.
Nice.
Love it.
Give him a follow.
Yeah.
thanks.
Go visit your local Russell Speeders.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
The best car wash in the world. Car wash. Clean it now.
Ooh, that's shiny.
Dang, that
That
was
was
solid.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
You should make a Russell Speeders rap.
I
You have.
Please.
have
You-
not. But,
He just goes into it. Yo, basketball is my favorite. Oh, wait, that's already a song.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was a blast having
Yeah, it
you.
was.
And thank you so much for all the knowledge you just dropped on us.
Yeah.
And go pound sand.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Well, what an amazing podcast episode with Austin. So much valuable knowledge and wisdom to be gleaned from this episode.
Yeah.
Be sure, if you're on a podcast platform, to leave us a rating. We love seeing those 5-star reviews or
yes,
whatever you think
please.
about it. Give it an honest rating. Let us know your feedback. And if there's something that you want us to cover, definitely leave a comment below if you're on YouTube. If you're not, go over to YouTube and leave a comment, I guess, because you can't leave comments on Apple Podcasts. But leave us a comment. Let us know what you would want to see in a future episode, what issues you're coming up against, what challenges in your creative business as you grow in your creative entrepreneurship.
If you want to follow along on social, you can find us on Instagram at The Glory Boys Pod, on TikTok at The Glory Boys Podcast. And if you want to see our other business that kind of helps drive this podcast, it's called Glory Visuals. You can find us at Glory Visuals on any social platform.
Yep. And in the meantime, just keep crushing, keep grinding. You got this. You can do it.
Yep.
And we cannot wait to see you guys in the next episode. We love you guys so much. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you in there.
See you in there.